and the touring car.
Did you grow up only learning English?
My two brothers, when they started school, they didn't know a word. They couldn't speak English, and but they soon learned when they got together with other children. They learned quick, and so by the time my sister, and so by the time I started, I could speak English. I learned it from them, so I could speak English when I started to school.
So if your family occasionally went to Saskatoon, was that just to buy supplies? What would you have got in the city?
No, they didn't go to the city very often. I think their older brother, he had this, he got married, you see, and he went down to visit this lady in the States. I forget just where it was in the States now, I forget. But when he came back, he visited his uncle. His uncle gave, that's where he got married to his wife. And
he gave them a Buick.
Oh yes, and he gave them as a wedding gift a brand new Buick touring car, and they drove back to the homestead in Saskatchewan with that. And so Mother and Dad got around different ways with that, and especially the church and so on with his brothers.
How badly did the Depression affect the family and the farm?
Oh, we were out in the 1930s. Well, by that time, Dad had settled, and he bought land closer to his brothers, and he had a new house built, and I don't know how they got the money, but I think things were pretty free in those days, and they built quite a big house, two-story house with 4 bedrooms, and it's still sitting there. But it took a while for them to get settled and do very many things.
As you became an adult, did you work on the farm or did you leave?
No, I worked on the farm until
The war.
I was we grew up on the farm, and
Then you joined up in the war.
you know, I met Jean. She was a school teacher out there, and married her, and we started our own farm next to Dad's, and my 2 brothers, and so we had.
What year did you two meet?
Well, 37, I guess we actually met, but it was 43 when we married.
I got called up into the compulsory training, and so I was in the Air Force, and I trained as an aero engine mechanic, and then we didn't get married before because there was every reason for me to be drafted and shipped overseas, you know. But when I found out that I was not going to be, they needed me in Canada, so we decided to get married, and didn't have to worry about being drafted and sent overseas.
And where were you born?
Oh, I was born in Saskatoon.
In Saskatoon, okay. And so how did you land up being out in his area, then working?
Well, I went to normal school here, and then Lost River was my first school. That's where a district that Juel was in, and I just barely met him then. I didn't really know him then.
Okay. And so what part of Saskatoon were you living in as a child?
Yes, grew up in Saskatoon, went to school here and normal.
Do you remember where the house was that you first lived in?
Oh, I do indeed.
Yeah.
1439 Avenue G North. It's still there.
Okay. Cool. And you were born in
I was born there
19...
in 1919.
1919. Okay. Interesting. And how many siblings do you have?
None.
Okay.
But I was smart. I married into a family
Oh,
of seven.
Okay, good. And so, do you remember you guys did a lot dating?
Oh, yeah.
And what kind of things did you guys like to do together?
Well, we went to dances. And there wasn't that much going on, you know. Well, we had we had a community club in Lost River, and that was very active, the Happy Gang Club. And we were pretty active in that.
Cool. Do either of you have any childhood photographs of yourself?
Well, we had, but my daughter took all our albums because we had our 70th anniversary last year, and they did, went to a lot of work for that, and they got these pictures together and made quite a slide presentation, but I don't have that.
Okay. Did you have any involvement with the war, doing anything?
No, I was teaching through
Teaching, okay.
in the war, and then we got married during the war.
Okay.
So we moved down to, Juel was stationed in Trenton, and we went there directly after we were married, and were there for a couple of years, and then when the war was over, we moved back here and took up farming.
Okay. And how many children do you two have?
We have three.
3. Okay. And what year was the first child born?
1945.
Okay.
That was a daughter, and she's in Saskatoon.
Good. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm writing a book on the history of Saskatoon. So I have a lot of interest.
I was wondering what your object was.
Yeah. Well, I do 2 things. I interview people about their life,
Yes.
which is sort of what we've been doing. But then I also have this interest in Saskatoon history. So
Oh, are you?
I'll ask you a few questions about just what you remember. So growing up in Saskatoon at that time, I don't know if Valerie told you, my grandmother is Jean Walters, and our family owned Walters Cycle Company on 20th Street.
Well, the cycle got, oh, really?
Yeah, so we were there from 1912 to 1989.
Oh, really?
77 years.
Oh,
So, but then my grandpa died, and then we shut it down. So I just got to work there a little bit at the end, but I was a little too young. So,
where was that cycle shop?
20th and Avenue B, just
Oh, yes.
near the Barry Hotel.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I do is I like to find old photographs of Saskatoon anywhere. So even if you had an old picture taken in front of your house or something, I would find that interesting. Just, it's nice that your house is still there, but as you know, a lot of buildings over the years get torn down
Oh, they do.
or changed, or
They do,
the city
yes.
has changed obviously a lot in 100 years. So yes, that's one of the things I do. So I'm going to ask you just some things about Saskatoon as a kid, and we'll see what you remember. So you said you went to the normal school, and that was located at, I don't remember what street that was on.
Avenue A, I guess, wasn't it?
Okay, Avenue A, okay. And do you remember, how did you get to school every day?
Well, when I was going to Normal, we were living on Dufferin Avenue, so, and I walked most of the time. And then, yeah, that was quite a walk over there.
Right.
But I usually walked, or I'd take the streetcar if it was really cold.
Okay. And speaking of the streetcar, did the streetcar come close to your house?
It was about 2 blocks away, I guess, when we lived on Dufferin.
Okay. And do you remember the winters being tough? Like if you had to walk to school and it's really cold?
Yeah, sometimes it was pretty cold, but I always could walk to school. We were about 6 blocks from Newtown Collegiate, and and we're about the same from Victoria School. That's where I went to school. But I started school at Mayfair, and then we moved over to Newtown. Well, my dad was a harness maker, and he had a shop on Broadway.
Okay. Do you remember what the business was called? Was it just under his name?
J.P. Allwood
Okay.
Harness.
So what years would that have been?
When did Dad start that? It was before I was born.
Well, he started with another harness maker in
Yes, he
1906.
came here in 1906, and he had his trade. His father was a master saddler, and so Dad had a good trade, which was, right at that time, that was a good trade. And he got a job right away at Whitfield's Harness on 2nd Avenue. I have a picture of that. And then I don't know how long he was there, a couple of years, and then he established a business for himself on Broadway. And he was there until 1945? No, or he was there 40, I forget.
I might be able to find a couple pictures taken just of Broadway that might show the front of the store, which would be nice, so I'll have to look for that.
Yeah,
And so did you, you landed up being a teacher, so how did you